Hey everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am doing some multicolored stamping and I am featuring some brand new products from the EllenHudson.com exclusive line, Essentials by Ellen. This release is adorable and I had so much fun playing with it. I'm going to be using most of the products from the release in this video today. I think the only one I didn't use was the instant frames, but over on my blog, I will have pictures of all of the cards that I created using this release. Oh, the other thing I did not use in this video was the house box add-on dies. So I'm starting out with the outline images from Everyday Doodles, and I am also adding the images from Handful onto my Misty here. Now, I love the Everyday Doodles stamp set because number one, the images are adorable, and number two, it's a two-step stamping stamp set. So what that means is you have your outline images, so you can stamp them and color them if you want, or you can stamp the outline and then there are solid images that fill in really easy. Now, the other thing that I really like about this two-step stamping stamp set is that they're kind of designed to be a little bit wonky. So you're not looking for perfection when you go to stamp the inner part or the solid part of those images. They're really easy to line up and you can just plop them down in some bright colors. So I'm inking up all of these stamps with some Gina K Jet Black Amalgam ink. It's one of my favorite black inks to use. And this will allow me to Copic color these or watercolor these or color them with colored pencils and Gamsol, whatever I want. Now, if you watched my video previously this week, I gave you some tips and tricks for stamping and die cutting multiples, and I'm employing those tips and tricks here today as well. I'm stamping a bunch of images at once, and I'm going to die cut a bunch of images at once as well. I'm going to kind of create a template where I can place my dies in and run all these through. Because they're always stamping in the same place, then I can always die cut in the same place and that works out. So I'll be sure to link that video here so that you can check it out. So once I've stamped several of these sheets of cardstock, and I'm using the Neenah Solar White Heavyweight cardstock, I'm going to take the coordinating dies, I'm going to line them up, and I'm going to hold them in place with some delicate surface painter's tape. Now, I got out a brand new set of cutting pads today, and let me tell you, there's one thing I'm really bad at, and that's rotating my cutting pads. So I am labeling my cutting pads with an A and a B so that I can remember which one I had on top the first time and which side I used, because you will get more life out of your Gemini Junior cutting plates if you're flipping them, rotating them, using one on the bottom one time and then flipping it over and using it on the top. You will just have better luck, but I'm horrible at that. So I tried labeling them and we'll see if I get, if I can like manage to get them flipped around. I just tend to use them all, you know, kind of the same way. So for the multicolored stamping, you saw I die cut all of my images. So I have like 4 copies of every image here. For my multicolored stamping, I'm going to start out with this first project. And I'm going to place 2 A2 card fronts into my full-size Misty, and I'm going to use the Paint Strokes stamp set. This is new from the release this month. And I'm going to stamp some borders along these card fronts, but I wanted to kind of float the cardstock away from the bottom edge of my Misty. So I took 2 pieces of heavyweight Neenah Solar White cardstock. They're 1/2 inch wide. I stuck them together, and I'm going to butt these A2 size card fronts right up against that barrier that I've created so that the ruler edge on my Misty won't affect the stamping, and I can kind of move them away from that thicker edge. So one thing you do want to do is put that magnet over the card base and that barrier. And here I'm showing you that remember when you're inking that you're kind of thinking in mirror image. So if you want it to start at the top of your card base, in this instance, I am inking the left side of my stamp. And I'm pointing that out because I screwed this up at least 3 times because I just wasn't thinking. And then I'd start out in the right direction, but then the next ink, I would just totally ink it wrong. So just remember you're working left to right on your colors here. See, I'm going to start out wrong right here. And I'm like, ah, shoot, that's the wrong end. Let me wipe it up. And this just goes to show you that I don't do everything right. Not every card project turns out right, and that's just part of card making. So now I am taking the Catherine Pooler Bellini ink, and I'm inking like another portion of the stamp. Now you're going to notice that I am taking a dry cloth and just kind of dabbing the edges of these inks so that I don't get the shape of the ink pad when I stamp this ink. I want it to be a little more free, allow these to kind of blend into each other and overlap a little bit. But really dabbing that edge is going to help soften the edge that you're going to get from the ink pad touching the stamp. So in this case, Catherine Pooler inks, this is limoncello here, by the way. In this case, Catherine Pooler inks have an oval shape on their foam. And so when you kind of ink them up on your stamp, especially when there's something solid like that one on the bottom, you kind of get this rounded appearance, and it can kind of be very obvious. So blotting the edge of that inked area is really going to help soften that edge and help the colors blend together. So the colors I used here were all Catherine Pooler inks. I started with It's a Girl, then I moved to Bellini, Limoncello, Melon Ice, and I ended with Meant to Be. And this rainbow combination is absolutely gorgeous. I'm so thankful for my friend Heather who sent me the idea for this color combination because it's absolutely gorgeous. Now for the first card, now that I have my multicolored stamping done, this is in kind of a rainbow fashion, I'm going to use the flowers from the Everyday Doodles stamp set, and I have them kind of arranged on my card front the way I want them. I'm going to snap a picture of that because I'll never be able to get it back that way if I can't remember exactly how I did it. So I have a few of those flowers. I'm going to leave them black and white. And I'm using this Alpine Snowfall die to create a little texture on this card front. So it's just going to kind of look like confetti in the background. I've run that through my die cut machine and you can see I have that pattern. So now I have my flowers from the Everyday Doodles and the leaves as well. I'm adding some foam adhesive to the back of those, and then I am using that picture that I took on my cell phone to arrange them precisely how I had them before. Because I find that if I just don't take a picture of it, I'm like, how was that? This is not working out as well. So taking a picture, snapping a picture, and referring back to it can really help you. Now for the sentiment, I'm going to use this big Scripty Hello die. This is from the Essentials by Ellen line. And I'm die cutting it from some Essentials by Ellen linen cardstock that has some fun foam adhered to the back. Because I'm cutting through the cardstock and the foam, I am going to add my metal shim to my die cutting sandwich, and I'm actually going to cut directly into the metal shim. With the Gemini Junior, you can do this. So that just makes it cut right through all those layers, gives me a clean cut. And then I also cut it again partially, just the LLO, to give me a double layer on that end of the sentiment. And I'm going to stack these up using some Lawn Fawn glue tube, which, by the way, I did not think I could like a liquid adhesive this much. But I really do like the Lawn Fawn glue tube. And so once I kind of added that second layer to the LLO, I added some more Lawn Fawn glue tube over the entire thing, and I placed it onto my card front. The reason I only needed one layer on the H is because it's overlapping those flowers that already have foam adhesive on them. So to finish this card off, I'm going to just tie a little natural twine around this border here. I just thought it was a cute little accent. I am going to add some ink blending using my life-changing blending brushes from Picket Fitness Studios. And I'm going to tell you that I really love these blending brushes. I'm getting great results with them. And if you have good results with ink blending tools, then you're probably fine, but I don't. And so I'm really enjoying these Picket Fence Studios life-changing blending brushes. Once I added a little bit of that Meant to Be ink onto the card base, I adhered my card front using some foam adhesive. I'm adding a little bit of the Tonic Nouveau Aqua Shimmer Pen to the sentiment and around the edge of the flowers. And in the center of the flowers, I'm finishing them up with some Tonic Blizzard drops. They're like a little glitter drop. And that finishes off my first card today featuring multicolored stamping. I love this beautiful blended rainbow effect that you get on this big solid border image. And that paint stroke image is very kind of irregular, so it really lends itself to this look. Now here we go on our second card. I'm going to take some of these stamped images and I am going to add the second step of stamping. So I'm starting out with this little cactus. I'm stamping the solid portion in this Melon Ice ink, which is a fabulous green. I'm going to do another one in the Meant to Be as well. And I just thought I would show you a few more of these images. I'm not actually using them on the card, but I had stamped them at this time, so they're ready to go. I did a little camera image with the Meant to Be. And I did 3 of these coffee cups, and I used the It's a Girl, Meant to Be, and Melon Ice for that, and that's just a really fun color combination. But for this card, I'm going to be using 2 of the cacti. I always want to say cactuses. But what I'm going to do is take this and create a pom-pom garland. I'm not going to spend a lot of time showing you how to do this. I do have a video tutorial kind of walking you through this process, but basically, I have a tapestry needle and some twine, and I am stabbing the needle through the little pom-poms and threading them onto the twine, and it is that easy. So I have some fun colored pom-poms here, and I'm going to create a little pom-pom garland, and then I am going to adhere these cacti together using some foam adhesive, and I did emboss a greeting and add that pom-pom banner to the cacti, and they are ready to place on the card. Now for this multicolored stamping technique, I'm going to start out by inking up this speech bubble with the Catherine Pooler Bellini ink and stamping it onto my card front. And then I'm going to take, and I have not cleaned my stamp, and I just inked the edge of this speech bubble once again with the Catherine Pooler It's a Girl ink, and I stamped it right over that Bellini stamping. And in order to get this lined up, I just put my head directly over the previously stamped image and just kind of lined it up. But if you don't get an absolutely perfect lining up with this image, it's okay. It's just there to kind of provide a backdrop for my cacti. Now for the sun, I did use the solid portion of the balloon image that's included in the Everyday Doodles stamp set, and I just kind of stamped that offset using some limoncello ink. And then I adhered my cactus grouping onto the card front. I'm going to place my card base into my Misty stamping tool, and I'm going to use this striped border image once again, and I'm going to create an ombre look along the side of this card base. And I'm going to use some of the colors that I've been using all along. I'm going to use the Melon Ice at the top of this, and then at the bottom, I'm going to be using the Meant to Be ink. Now you'll notice when I did this, I did not blot the edge with a dry cloth. And that's because this striped image tends to be a little more forgiving because you don't have all of that super solid area. And I did go back and kind of add a little more Melon Ice ink, and this is where I blot with my finger and just stamped once again over just a portion of that to help blend those 2 colors together. So now that I have that fun, colorful edge along my card base, I can add some foam adhesive to the back of my card front and adhere that onto the card base. And I did add some aqua shimmer pin to my little sunshine there, which is a really fun way to add some sparkle to this card. And I added just a torn strip of some pattern paper, and that's from the Heidi Swapp color something line. I'll have that linked for you. Now for my third and final card, I am using one of my favorite stamps from the Essentials by Ellen line, and it is from the Pattern Play stamp set. And I'm going to do some more rainbow inking. Now because this is more striped, I can just ink up portions of the stripes. So I'm inking up just a couple stripes at a time. I am kind of angling my ink pad so that I'm not inking up all the stripes at once. I'm using like the edge of the ink pad to just ink a couple stripes at a time. And you can't see this in the video, but I have my head kind of down even with the stamp so I can see where my ink pad is landing. I can focus my ink on the stripes that I want to ink and then stamp them using my mini Misty. Now this is another one that you could probably do without a stamp positioning tool, but I will tell you that it makes your job a whole lot easier. And I don't have them, but the Catherine Pooler mini ink pads would probably be really great for this technique if you wanted to add all the colors to the stamp at once and then just stamp once. Now I thought it would be fun to add an action wobbler to this little thumbs up image, but the thumbs up image wasn't covering my action wobbler very well. So I'm taking that same pattern paper from Heidi Swapp. I die cut a heart. That's from the High 5 Die Set from the Essentials by Ellen line. And I placed that right onto the action wobbler. And then I'm going to take this little thumbs up image from the new Handful Stamp Set. And I'm just going to adhere that right over the top of that heart to create a little grouping. And then I'll remove the backer from that clear plastic piece, kind of figure out where I want my placement, and then press it down into place. And now you can see I have a really fun kind of interactive element that doesn't get too bulky, and I can't stop playing with these when I use them. So I've put this back into my Mini Misty again, and I have my sentiment mounted. It says, "It's all good." It's from the Handful Stamp Set. I inked that up in some VersaFine Clair Nocturne black pigment ink and then stamped that onto my card front. And then I cut a second vellum heart and kind of added it behind that green one to make the grouping a little more balanced there. So that completes my third card in this multicolored stamping extravaganza. I did add a little bit of twine at the top of that just for a little finishing touch. And there you have it. 3 cards featuring multicolored stamping and some great new products from the Essentials by Ellen line. Like I said, I'm absolutely digging not only this color combination that I used in today's video, but this new Everyday Doodles stamp set, which I think is so much fun and so versatile. I'm also really getting a kick out of the Everyday Punnies stamp set that was released along with it. I used it on that cactus card. And to see more inspiration featuring this new Essentials by Ellen release, be sure you head on over to my blog. Over there, I'll have some images of all of the projects that I created featuring these brand new stamps and dies. And as I mentioned before, I did not include the Housebox add-on die set or the Instant Frame die set in this video. But over on my blog, there are a couple of projects featuring those, so be sure to check it out. As always, I will have links to the featured products used in these projects in the description at YouTube, but head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies, and I'll be sure to link that in the YouTube description for you. As always, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed these projects, and I hope you're inspired to do some multicolored stamping on your next card project. If you enjoyed these projects, please give this video a thumbs up like this girl's doing right here. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of my paper crafting and card making video tutorials. I'm so glad you stopped by today. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the very end. You know, if you've made it this far, you are one of my favorites. If you want to subscribe to my channel, go ahead and click that button on the left side of the screen. And here's a couple more video tutorials I thought you might enjoy.